Welcome to Kentucky Football Nation. Let's talk about Mark Stoops. I titled this video Making the Case for Mark Stoops. You can go back and watch the very first video I made over 2 months ago was Should Mark Stoops be fired if he has a bad season in 2025? I went over the history of all the coaches from 1980 and forward and sort of made a little, gave a little history review on how bad Kentucky football really was during that time. There were some good patches, but the mostly bad patches. So you can go back and watch that video if you want to see the history of, Hal Mummy and Bill Curry and Rich Brooks and Joker Phillips. We dive into all that. So I'm not going to get into that in this video. So let's just start at 2024 because it was a really bad year. Mark Stoops lost the team. Most of it was his own fault. I think a lot of it was arrogance on either, him and the players just stepping on the field thinking you're going to beat somebody. I was starting to not like the arrogance the last couple of years. Like when Lynn Bowden, I don't know what game, was it a bowl game or the Louisville game where he walked out in a t-shirt or a cutoff shirt and he went over to the other team who was stretching and warming up on the other side of the 50 and started an argument with that. I didn't like that behavior at all. We just had some guys just acting stupid on the field during the game, and I didn't like that at all. Come on, there's got to be discipline is discipline. You show it on the field and off the field. And when you show it on the field that you're going to be undisciplined, even when the only way you can get away with that is when you win, and we were winning. So when you're winning, hey, you can get away with just about anything. But when you start losing, you can't. So I didn't like the arrogance that was starting the last couple of years when we were getting good. I enjoyed getting good, but I just didn't like the attitude. So I think he got humbled a little bit because players turned on him. And when you act like that and you lose, then it's going to be not acceptable. So what happened in 2024? Well, prior to that, remember Liam Cohen left to go to Tampa Bay. He was with the Rams. He was with us. Then he went to the Rams. The Rams let him go. He came back to Kentucky for, I think, 2 seasons or a season. And I'm never leaving and raising a family. And he left. Okay, fine, whatever. Then we had to, quickly find offensive coordinator Bush Hamden. Eric Wolford left to go to Alabama. Then Rich Scangarilla was our offensive coordinator. He didn't have any offensive line depth then. So all of a sudden, all this great football players on the offensive side of the ball, we were losing them. So Bush Hamden comes in and tries to run his offense with Cohen's players. And it just didn't work out well. And we didn't have any depth at offensive line. As you can see, we played really bad. That was a horrible offensive line. You can go back and watch my offensive video. Let's talk about Brock Vandergriff. Pardon me. Now, he left football. And I was thinking, well, why did he leave football completely? He could play. He said he wasn't fired up for the game anymore. So, guys, look, I think about halfway through the season, the kid just mentally checked out. It looked like to me. Now, look, I know the offensive line was bad, but I just didn't see the fire. The first game, we beat Southern Miss 31-0. Okay, then we got beat pretty bad by South Carolina. We come back, we play Georgia hard, but somewhere along the way, beat Ole Miss. I don't know what happened to the guy. By the time we got to halfway through the year, it just didn't look like he wanted to be out there. So, not much Mark Stoops could do about that. If the kid doesn't mentally want to play, it's like trying to make your kid play a sport. They don't want to play it. They're just playing it for you. They're not going to play well. So I think that was part of it. Then we had to put Cutter Boley and Wimsatt in, and it just didn't turn out well. So that wasn't Mark Stoops' fault. But and he just did some things that were during the season that were, once again, clock management. Talking about Mark Stoops, he did some things that were not good. Still struggled with clock management. Still struggled with situational football. We're down to Georgia 13-12 in the fourth quarter. We got the ball on the 50-yard line. It's 4th and 5. I don't even remember yards. And you punt the ball back to them. Stupid. I mean, they're going to run out the clock. And even if they didn't run out the clock, how much time are you going to have when you get it back? We'd only scored 4 field goals. So I didn't like that, not taking chances. So look, he lost the team. That's just the way it was. Then, of course, after the season, Dane Key and Barry Brown, during the season, they're not getting the ball because the quarterback can't get them the ball because the offensive line can't block long enough for them to get open. So they're upset. They leave. I get it. They wanted to leave. Surprised me on Dane Key, but Barry Brown, okay, go to LSU. Dane Key went to Nebraska. Good luck trying to win a championship at Nebraska. But I get it. He probably got some money. So I say all that to say this. 2024, as I already talked 6 minutes about 2024, it's mostly Mark Stoops' fault. I mean, there were a few things. Yes, Cohen leaving. Yes, quarterback didn't feel like playing anymore. But it's all Mark Stoops, and the attitude and the discipline of the team was awful. I don't know all the stuff that went on in the locker room, and I'm not going to talk about rumors. So I heard some rumors from KSR and stuff, but I can't validate that, so I'm not going to say it on here. So I say all that to say this. There's only 40 players on the roster that remain from 2024. There's only 3 offensive linemen. Wood, I can't remember who else, Malachi Wood and 2 other offensive linemen. We only kept 3 offensive linemen. So what did we do? We hired Eric Wolford back, which was kind of controversial because he just took off for I know Nick Saban calls you and you go. I get it. But he didn't do a good job with us this last year, and he didn't leave us with any depth at offensive line. But he is going to make up for it, and I think he is making up for it. And we've recruited a lot of good offensive linemen, so I'm glad Eric Wolford is back, and hopefully he will stay for a while. We did well in the portal. I mean, we got 23 portal players. Most of them were offensive players. I said in the last video, defensive video, we had to spend our money on offense. Offensive line, running back, tight end, wide receiver, quarterback. We had to rebuild the whole offense. The big blue wall, everything, because we were 132 teams. Where once again, the number escapes me. We're 109th or something like that. Well, we were dead last in the SEC. So yeah, we have to have an offense. Defense, if it has to be on the field all the time, it's not going to do you any good. So I think we did well of getting rid of players who were problems, and they went ahead and left, or the ones that wanted to leave went ahead and left. Fine. If Dane Key, Barry Brown, you guys want to go, hey, leave. Let's get some guys in here that want to play. Let's get to Mark Stoops. So I spent the first 10 minutes here just rambling off some things that I wanted to get off my chest. So Mark Stoops in 12 seasons is 76-69, winningest coach in our history. Now in the SEC, he hasn't done great in the SEC. He's went 28-62, but his first 3 years, we only won 4 SEC games. So we're going to talk about his first season. When he took over for Joker Phillips and came here, we didn't have anybody. I remember Neil Brown saying we didn't have anybody that could run a decent 40-yard dash. We didn't have anybody. I mean, the cupboard was bare. There was no cupboard. We didn't have any players. We lost to Western our first year. But we'll get into all that. But yeah, so our first 3 seasons, 62 SEC losses, 20 of them were in the first 3 seasons. So there has been an improvement in the SEC play. It's just if you look at the total number, you go, wow, that number stinks. He sucks. Well, no, the first 3 years, he took a third of those losses. So let's remember that. He's had 2 10-win seasons. Only Bear Bryant. Bear Bryant had a 9-win season, and he had a national championship season in 1950, co-national champions. It was UPI and AP. One poll said we were the national champion. One poll said the other one was the national champion. The only thing is we beat the number 1 team who was undefeated. So why the AP didn't say we're national champions, I don't know. Sagarin, if you look at Sagarin ratings, they did a thing, and they said we would have been national champions. So you can do whatever. So, yeah, only Bear Bryant's come close to that feat. No other coach has done that. Rich Brooks, Bill Curry, like I said, you can go back to all the coaches. Just hadn't happened. He was AP SEC Coach of the Year in 2018. We had a really good year in 2018. So he should have been. He had 8 winning seasons in a row. This last one was the first losing season. Yeah, in 9 years. So guess there's only been one other coach that has won 8 winning seasons in a row. Bear Bryant. Other than that, Bradshaw, those coaches in the 60s and 70s, you can go back through, never happened. So that means something. We went to 8 straight bowl games, which, okay, there's a lot of bowls now, the Pop-Tart Bowl, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I won't give us too much credit, but we were 4-4. And who do we beat? James Franklin, Penn State, Iowa. I can't think of that coach's name. He's been there a long time. Frank Beamer, Virginia Tech, and we beat North Carolina State. All those teams were ranked. We beat all ranked teams. So we beat some, once again, we weren't in the Pop-Tart Bowl playing, New Mexico State or Colorado State. We were beating some good programs. We lost to Clemson in the last bowl that we played, 38-35. It was a good game. So, yeah, he's done well in bowl games, and he's done well a bit against other conferences because we played in the best conference. Now, in 2024, what do? We add Texas and Oklahoma to the schedule, and we get to play them twice. The first 2 years, we play the better one. We play Texas. Wish we played Oklahoma twice, but no, we end up playing Texas. So, once again, as I've said before, we didn't add, Virginia Tech or, no offense, Louisville. No, we added Texas and Oklahoma, two of the greatest college football programs in the history of college football. So that didn't make it any easier. So let's talk about his record. So let's just go through the 12 seasons. Okay. When we started out, Neil Brown was our offensive coordinator, and we were going to try and run the air raids. I didn't know how well that would work. Very first year, 2013, we were 2-10. 0-8, we were awful. That was what I told you. We didn't have any players who could run a 40-yard dash. We didn't have any size. We had nothing. Joker Phillips just left. I mean, nothing. We beat Miami of Ohio and Alabama State. How we beat them, I don't know, but we lost to Western. Second, third year, he goes 5-7, 2-6 in the SEC. So the second year we beat Vandy, South Carolina. Third year, South Carolina, Missouri. So all you South Carolina fans, look, we pretty much dominated South Carolina for a while. Now they turned with Shane Beamer, they started to dominate us. So we got to get back to beating them. But yeah, we started beating somebody other than Vanderbilt. But by the time we get to his fourth year, we're 7-6, 4-4 in the SEC, and tied for second in the East. Okay, so 2016, that was the year where Austin McGinnis made that kick against 51-yard field goal as time expired. I think time was expiring to beat Mississippi State because they were talking about getting rid of him at that point. Our athletic director was talking about getting rid of him, and there was rumors if he didn't go to a bowl. Well, Austin McGinnis saved him because we were able to win that game, get 6 wins, and go to a bowl. And we went 7-6. We lost to Georgia Tech, but hey, at least we made a bowl. 2017, 7-6, 4-4 in the SEC again. So see, we're breaking even in the SEC. And remember, at this time, Alabama's dominating. Alabama's not losing the game. They're dominating the SEC. They're just starting their dominance, and they're just starting to win a national championship every year or every other year. I think Clemson started to beat them a little bit there. So yeah, you get to 2016, 2017, 7-6, 4-4. Then you get to 2018. This is when we start excelling. This is when we're on Paul Finebaum and all the Finebaumers. I call them the Finebaumers. See, the only way you're going to get on a Finebaum show, Kentucky, is if you're winning. And we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about the SEC, Finebaumers, and the good old boy network that it is. We're not in the good old boy network. There's probably 8 schools that are in the good old boy network and 8 that are on the outside. We're on the outside. Now, we get in when we're good. When we get in, we get talked about. But we're not good. We don't get any excuses made for us. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. 2018, 10-win season, 5-3, tied for second. Georgia, I think, was number 1. Or maybe it was Tennessee. I don't know. No, it had to have been Georgia. So we're 10-3. We beat James Franklin, Penn State. Yep, came in there thinking this is going to be an easy game. And then, no, we whipped your ass because Benny Snell ran all over you. And he broke the touchdown record for our school history. We ended up ranked 11th in one poll and 12th in the other. If there would have been a playoff, we'd have went to the playoff that year. That was a good year. Now, 2019, 8-5. Once again, this is Kentucky football. Yeah, once again, you got to look, we're in the East. So we're playing Georgia, Florida. Yes, we are playing Mississippi State. And then we're rotating in other people, Tennessee. So Georgia, Florida, Tennessee every year, which is, 3 tough programs. So we beat Virginia Tech. 2020. All right. 2020 was the COVID year. I think you only played SEC schools. We were 5-6. Yes, we were 5-6 because we only played 10 regular season games, right? We actually beat Tennessee that year at Tennessee, but we were 4-6, but we played a ranked North Carolina State team in a bowl and we beat them. So we ended up 5-6. Not a good year, but look, mark off the COVID year because that was a crazy year. What happens in 2021? Will Levis, Liam Cohen, we win 10 games again. We go 5-3. We're second to Georgia. We beat, once again, we're not favored to beat Iowa. Iowa's a Big Ten team power, and they're going to run all over us. No, we beat them. So we ended up 15th in one poll and 18th in the other. So that was a very good year. So, like I said, Bear Bryant didn't win 10 games twice. He won 9, he won 11. Only one coach has won 10 games, Mark Stoops. And he did it in a harder time. I think it's harder to do it now than it was back then. I could be wrong. And then I don't know what was going on in 1949 and 1950, but it's hard now. Now, 2022 and 2023, we go 7-6. We start regressing a little bit in those. That's when Cohen leaves, and then we get Scangarillo, and then he leaves, and then we get Bush. Cohen comes back, and there's rotating. Wolford leaves. The only thing we had was Brad White stayed during that time. So, and look, that happens, not making excuses. That happens at Alabama, Ole Miss. That happens everywhere. When you get good, they're going to take your people. I get it. But we handled it about as well as we could handle it. This is pre-NIL. Now with NIL, hey, listen, whoever has the most money, we're going to catch up. But yeah, so, and we lost to Clemson. Yeah, we played Iowa. In 2022, we lost to Iowa because Will Levis was hurt. A bunch of our players didn't play. I understand that. And then in 2023, we actually played Clemson very well. They came back and beat us 38-35, but they had a good team too. So look, guys, we were very respectable. Okay, we were very respectable, and we were talked about. And let's talk about. Look, the SEC is like a club. It's a good old boy club, and we ain't in it. Okay, now we're in it when we win. So let's talk about. And this is just my opinion. Like I said, I didn't realize this till I started watching other SEC podcasts. Josh Pate, the SEC football podcast with those two good old boys, and I'd seen these guys on Finebaum. And look, I understand we don't move the needle in football, so they're not going to talk about us on Paul Finebaum. All those callers are Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, all going at one another, and I get it. It's entertainment. Okay, I understand we're not entertaining in football. Now, they don't move the needle in basketball. We do. So, look, I understand that part. But when you have a podcast and you're going to talk about the SEC, and, it just gets, it's a good old boy network. So, there's 16 teams. 8 teams are in the good old boy network, and 8 are not. Well, 8 are sometimes. So, let's talk about the good old boy network. Georgia's in it, should be. Alabama, Auburn, Florida, Texas got grandfathered in the Good Old Boy Network. Texas A&M, oil money, they're in. Tennessee should be in. Oklahoma got grandfathered into the club, and LSU. Those people were in the club. No matter how bad, Auburn, awful. They just make excuses. Well, Hugh Freeze, he's just trying to find the right quarterback. Florida, Billy Napier, Dan Mullen, awful. Doesn't matter. Dan Mullen, he's more of an offensive guy. He can't be a head coach. And now, Billy Napier, he's just working on. He needs to recruit. They get a free pass. They have a bad year. It's no big deal. We have one bad year, and now all of a sudden we're a basketball school and we suck. Okay, yeah, that's real fair. So who's not in the club? Well, we're not in the club. Ole Miss, you're not in the club. Now you are now because of Lane Kiffin, and he's sexy, and you throw the ball, and you're really exciting. But you haven't been in the club. You weren't in the club with Houston Nutt, Hugh Freeze, this Matt Luke. You're in the club like us as long as you win. The minute Lane Kiffin leaves, you're outside the door. You're not in the club. Who else is not in the club? South Carolina. They're not in the club. Now, Shane Beamer winning and the quarterback sellers they have, they're sexy. He's doing a good job. I don't particularly care for the guy, but you got to give him his props. He's doing a good job. So they're in the club. The minute they start losing, Steve Spurrier wasn't in the club. Notre Dame's coach, that escapes me, that came, and they weren't in the club. Vanderbilt, you're in the club now because of Diego Pavi, and you're the sexy pick. But guess what? If you have a bad year this year, you're not in the club ever. No excuse for you. No excuse for South Carolina. No excuse for Ole Miss. I know you guys think you and your stupid little podcast there, Locked On Stupid, Ole Miss there, that you have a football culture. You haven't won the SEC since like 1963. I hate to be the one to break it to you. You're with us standing outside, okay? Sometimes you get in the door, sometimes you don't. You're in right now. Mississippi State, not in. A brand new coach. When they had Mike Leach and they were winning a little bit, yeah, Jackie Sherrill, they're in and out. If they have a good year, they're in because they're entertainment. Okay, but if they have a bad year, nope, no excuses. Doesn't matter. You're not recruiting. There's no excuse for the people on the outside. You have a losing season. Nope. You're out. Arkansas, no, you weren't even originally in the SEC. If you have a good year, you're in, but you're having a bad year, you're out. You did beat Tennessee last year, but you're out. And I'll explain why in a little bit here. So in the Good Old Boy Network there, it's a big club, and we ain't in it. And there's several that are not in it, and there's several that are. And some of them deserve to be. The Tennessee had a bad year, or had a bad run with Butch Jones. Okay, are they out of the club? No. Texas A&M, before they got Jimbo Fisher, awful. Are they out of the club? No. They're in the network. They're Finebaum callers and people taking up for them. So when you start watching these channels like SEC Football Podcast with those two good old boys, Josh Pate, this jack wagon, I'm going to use a curse word, he has like 350,000 subscribers. Guy does a video on the SEC, leaves out like 5 teams. He leaves out us, Arkansas, Mississippi State. People in the comments going, hey, you didn't cover Mississippi State. No, he didn't cover us. He don't care about us. Josh Pate's on Finebaum all the time. He's got his cute little show. He's all dressed up in his cute little shiny bald head. And he's not going to talk about Kentucky because we're not in the SEC. Mississippi State, you're not in the SEC. Arkansas fans were saying, what about us? We're not in the SEC, according to good old Josh Pate with his 350-something thousand subscribers and his nice shiny bald head. Yeah, don't bring us up, buddy. So I say all that to say this. Taking up for Stoops. Look, that's up to you. I got some guy saying, well, first of all, if we replace Stoops, who are we going to replace him with? Who's going to come in here with NIL? You think Nick Saban could come in here with, and Nick Saban hates NIL. He didn't want to mess with that. He couldn't do NIL. That's why he got out. He knew, he saw the writing on the wall. You're not going to dominate anymore, partner. You're not going to be the greatest coach now. The greatest coach is going to be whoever's got the most money. So he got the hell out of there. You think he would come? He ain't coming here. No, I don't care if we offered him. He ain't coming. He can't do NIL. So whoever replaces Mark Stoops, whenever he leaves, they're going to have to know how to do NIL. And so I don't even know who we would get if we replaced him. Would we get a big name person? What big name person would we get? Should we go after an offensive coordinator, Ohio State's offensive coordinator? I'm just off the top of my head. Go to Division II, do a Hal Mummy. I don't know if there's anybody that could do a better job right now than Mark Stoops as we're starting into this NIL. And we're an LLC now. Okay, we're privatized. Mark Stoops is not paid by University of Kentucky. Mark Post's not paid by University of Kentucky. They're paid by the LLC. Okay, that's who owns and runs all our athletes now. So you can't just bring in a guy that knows football, X's and O's, and go, okay, man, here you go. go coach the team against the SEC. It's not going to work like that. You're going to have a GM, and we put Eddie Grant as our GM, and I like Eddie Grant. I'm glad he's our GM. And we literally have, if you look on Kentucky's website, we have 50 coaches associated with the football team. 50. There's assistants to, I mean, you got to have 50 coaches to coach a football team now. So it's not just a handful of people who used to play back in the day. And yes, Mike Hartline's one of the coaches, and I think he's a smart guy. I don't know what his position is. It isn't anything offensive, I don't think. But look, I'm at 27 minutes, 28 minutes. What do you guys think? Put down in the comments. You could say, the easiest thing you can do is fire a coach. But look, the guy's had one losing season, and people are losing their mind. And if you're young and you don't know anybody but Mark Stoops, go back and go Google and get on Wikipedia, see the coaches before him. Some of them did okay, but they didn't do as good as he did. Like I said, Bear Bryant's the only guy that comes close to him. Bear Bryant was one of the best coaches ever. I'm not calling Mark Stoops Bear Bryant, don't get me wrong, but damn, I mean, he's done pretty good. Now, we need to start winning again. But it might take another year to rebuild if we can get 5 or 6 wins and then go in the portal. And that's what it's going to be now. You're going to go in the portal and get players. So we got as many portal players as we did high school players. It's just the way it is. But personally, I like Mark Stoops. I think we should give him a little bit of rope here, because I don't think there's anybody out there that's going to do better than he is. Or if they do, we're going to have to pay him. People's like, well, he makes too much money. Well, if you bring in somebody else, how much you think you're going to have to pay them? Let's say we got Nick Saban. You think you're going to have to pay him $10 million. Okay, Mark Stoops right now is not worth that. I'll be the first one to say it. 4 and 8 is not worth $9 million. But let's see what he does this year and the next year or two. Now, if we get in the year or two here, or if we go 2-10 this year, as some people are saying we will, then yeah, he'll be gone. I think he'll step away and make a deal. But let's see how the season goes. Let's see what happens. I'm going to put out some more videos during the summer. Next week I'll start. We'll go over a little bit of history of Kentucky football. If you're watching this video and you have not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. As I'm just about to go over 100 subscribers. My channel's only 2.5 months old. So there's a lot more stuff I want to do. And I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel. And I'm a football fan. Sometimes I think my wife said, why didn't you do a basketball channel? Because it's too easy. If I did a basketball channel, I would just come on here and go, hey, we're great. Yeah, Mark Pope. And I can name our roster. Well, there wouldn't be any pain associated with it. And there wouldn't be any challenge associated with it. So I do like football as much as I like basketball, which is an anomaly for a Kentucky fan. But look, guys, I appreciate it. I'll be putting on shorts, as I've said before, to show the history of Kentucky football. Just little, 15 to 30-second clips of players from the past. I appreciate it. Put down in the comments, what do you think about Mark Stoops? What do you think? What do you think our record is going to be? Do you think he's good enough to stay here? Do you think other than John Summerall, tell me somebody that you would get right now to replace Mark Stoops that you think we could get? Don't start saying Ryan Day and stuff like. We're not getting Ryan Day. Give me like we could get some coordinators. We could get John Summerall. So put down in the comments if you think Mark Stoops should go. Who do you think we should go after? All right, guys, it's 30 minutes. I appreciate it. More videos on the way. Thanks for watching.